This module is part of the Beyond Cold Cloud series that addresses cold cloud user-level functions. This learning module shows you how to generate a temperature monitoring chart report using the Beyond Cold Cloud interface. Within Cold Cloud, temperature monitoring charts give a graphical view of the maximum, average, and minimum values, and also alarms logged for threshold violations that have been logged by Cold Cloud for individual assets at specific sites during the defined reporting period. Before you proceed, it's important that you watch and understand the learning module on how to specify a report's parameters. As usual, we've started at the Cold Cloud dashboard view. To start viewing and generating reports, navigate to the Reports section. In the previous module, we learned how to define a report subject and reporting period. With that knowledge as our foundation, we'll proceed to generating a temperature monitoring chart report. For demonstration, note that we've selected the Botswana tree. This report type requires that you select a period of 1 calendar month before the report can be generated. To do this, use the month/year selector to choose a specific month and year. Now, we click the Temperature Monitoring Chart button. Each section of the report consists of readings from the relevant monthly period, taken from each individual asset included in the report. For example, these could be refrigerators, workspaces, cold lockers, and so on. Note that each visual graph has 3 plot lines: the minimum recorded values, the average values, and the maximum recorded values. Within the bounds of the graph, it's easy to see whether or not any values have exceeded the defined minimum value and maximum value thresholds. Note that the minimum and maximum values seen on the graph and in the table are the highest and lowest values recorded by any sensor within the specified asset group over the specified period. If you hover the mouse cursor over any date marker, the report will show a system-generated dialog for that specific date. This dialog will contain the minimum, the average, and the maximum recorded value for that date. In terms of analog data logging, minimum, maximum, average, and mean kinetic temperature values are recorded for each specific day of the monthly reporting period. The value in the last cell of the max row, marked by Roman numeral 1, shows the highest maximum value for that month. The value in the last cell of the AVE row, marked by Roman numeral 2, shows the overall average value for the month. The value in the last cell of the min row, marked by Roman numeral 3, shows the lowest minimum value for the month. The value in the last cell of the MKT row, marked by Roman numeral 4, shows the overall mean kinetic temperature for the month. Data is also logged for values that rise above and that fall below defined alarm thresholds. In terms of digital data logging, the total number of true or false type alarms, as a typical example recording whether refrigerator doors have been open or closed, is also recorded for each specific day of the monthly reporting period. Values are recorded, along with the date and time on which they were logged. Average values are recorded as a function of the values collected throughout the reporting period you specified. The mean kinetic temperature values are the average temperature values seen in the average row. This row is devoted exclusively to temperature values and does not include any other values, for example, relative humidity. To show or hide the value thresholds on the visual graph, check or uncheck the threshold checkbox. To print the view as a paper report, click the Printer button and use the Print dialog to print the report. To export the report as a portable document format or PDF file, click the PDF button and follow the prompts. We've reached the end of this Cold Cloud user-level functions module. Now that you know more about this subject, please feel free to view all other modules addressing Cold Cloud's user-level functions and capabilities. Thank you for your time.